All right, so I guess we're doing this. Welcome to HIVE Thrive number 5,300 and something. I lost track. I have no idea. Maybe Budcoins knows, and he can
We're
share.
number 20, number 24, but I
Number 20.
realized actually after I did the post that it officially would be number 25, but because last week an official post didn't go out for
What happened?
at Mangao. So like poor at Mangao, we got to have like another real Hive Thrive for him. Like he's sort of got blanked in the midst of.
Last week was a crazy little week, I have to say. A lot of things were really off, at least for me. I don't know about you, Budcoins, but like a lot of things were just not aligned. Almost like what can go wrong went wrong. I was having encounters with Murphy almost every single day. Talking about blown cars. I'm talking about, I three of our cars broke down last week. Imagine that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Damn,
it's
that sucks.
hey, but we're back and we're here and we're happy and we're doing what we do because that is what we can. That's the only thing we can do. And today, for our Hive Thrive episode, we're going to be talking to I guess you could. I'm using this word now. I'm not going to call them OGs because they were not here at the beginning of the chain, but they're here. They're old enough to be OEs, original enough. So an OE, an OE of the Hive blockchain, like me, he's also. I think we're pretty much maybe a month or two apart, or anniversaries on Hive. Solominer, Solominer. Um, I know you're there, my brother. So what is up with you? How's your day so far?
Oh, my day has been filled with farm activities. Just getting my storage building all set up with all the insulation in the walls. And I took some time to drain out another dehumidifier barrel. So I got another 30 gallons of water that I'm ready to go water some plants with when we need it. But in general, I just kind of took it easy, just ate some lunch. My food is settled, and I'm ready to do some chatting with you and Buckcoins and everyone else.
Awesome, awesome. Uh, Solo to me is such an enigma because he is the combination him and Echo, I guess, but he's the combination of technology and going back to the earth kind of thing. Because Solo Miner, he's a nerd, and I say that lovingly. And of course, he's a witness also in Hive. We're going to talk about that a little bit too. But he's also somebody who enjoys working the land, working in the farm, and he grows a very special plant. And we're going to talk about that too. So he's like a combination of both worlds. But let me ask you this. So we're going to start off not from the very beginning, but kind of from the beginning. What is your name all about? Did you actually say to yourself one day, I'm just going to be setting up mining machines by myself, so my name is Solo Miner? When did you come up with that name?
Well, solo mining has always been something really cool that I've seen in the world of crypto. I did not get a chance to solo mine at any point, never had the processing power to do so, but I am actually hoping to grow into that title one day, as you mentioned. I just got two Bitmain ASIC miners, and I'm hoping to bring them online pretty soon. And who says I can't solo mine if one of them and live up to the name?
That's true. That's true. And well, solo mining Bitcoin is it really possible now? It's not possible right now, is it?
Oh, it's totally possible. There's actually been some recent block findings using some very small nodes. I would
Wow.
have to bring up in the history of it, but yeah, it does still happen. Yes.
Wow, did I know that? Did you know that Bitcoins? You can still mine Bitcoin by yourself? But it's like a lottery, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I knew like I've even like looked into it not that many years back. We were like looking into like whether it made sense, but it definitely is. It's like priced itself like just the margins are so slim. I think these you can get a used one of these machines that will mine at a level, but they're just always advancing, and then the price is going up. And if you look at the margins, there it's just slim, so that didn't really make sense at the time.
I guess it doesn't make sense at all unless you got really cheap energy, right? Which is another thing the solo miner knows quite a bit about because solo miner is also big into solar. And solo miner actually has, I think, the biggest setup I've seen. of anybody on the chain because there's a few of us with solar panels on the chain, and there's a I don't share that much about it these days, but I've seen, yeah, he's a solar miner. So Solo, tell me, how did you come to live where you are, and why is it that you went all solar, and how's that working out for you?
Sure. So, the main reason I moved to Virginia is to enjoy and grow cannabis. Where I lived previously, you'd be treated as a murderer or a rapist or some other terrible criminal just for smoking it, let alone growing it. So I decided to move somewhere where I wouldn't be treated like such a criminal. So Virginia is now my home, and I can grow up to 4 plants at any time, and I can have a large amount in storage at any time. Amounts that would get you probably a good 10 years or more in prison where I used to live.
Oh
So
wow.
I have these new freedoms in this new state, and I'm really appreciating it. So move. Besides that, I moved to a rural area so I can have more land. Where I lived previously was more like in the suburbs, and yeah, you can't really get a lot of land in those cases. So I moved out to a more rural area, an area that still had fiber internet, which was probably the main reason I moved into the property that I did. Is I could get high speed internet, and I was still in a pretty rural area. So from there, I had some friends in Alabama. People actually made friends on Hive. A guy named Macon stuff. He used to be a Hive podcaster on the PowNet Discord, if y'all remember that.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
do. Yeah.
CDO. Yeah, so me and him met up and we did some camping in Alabama. It was an amazing time. I spent like 3 days out there camping on his property. The first night was major thunderstorms. It was so bright. In the night, I was sleeping in my tent, and all I woke was to like a flash of pure white light. And there must have been a lightning strike really close by that night. The next day, the next 2 days, it snowed in Alabama, and we
What?
had the most amazing time just kind of hanging out, winging it, making things work out there. And from there, we just called our ways. But eventually, I called him back because I knew he was into solar. He had his first solar project that I saw, and he had this trailer that was solar powered. So his friend and him came up and helped build out my first solar array, Array A and Array B. And recently, I just built out my own array, Array C.
So you're ready to mine some bitcoins then?
Just about. Right now, we produce enough power to cut our energy bills down by about half. But I have about another 60 solar panels that are in my workshop right now that I am currently working on deploying. And that's going to bring us up another 30 kilowatts, which for sure I'll be able to mine purely off solar at that point.
No, does it make sense though financially in the short term, or this is just like a long, and what I mean by that is basically what Bitcoins was talking about earlier, because as far as I understand it, and do correct me if I'm wrong, if I was to start to mine Bitcoin right now and sell everything I make kind of to more or less have a Bitcoin business, most of the time I'm just going to come out flat, or even at a loss, because the difficulties keeps on increasing. However, if I can hold off and not sell for years, and as we know, whatever I mine is, it's great as a long-term investment. So given the fact that you're solar right now, and I don't mean to ask you about your finances, but this is like a long-term thing. You're going to be like, oh, I'm going to mine stuff, and then 20 years from now, 30 years from now, I'm retired. Is that more or less the plan?
I've not decided if I'm going to sell as soon as I earn my profits or if I'm going to hold. But in general, it is going to be like a 10 or 20-year project with the solar to really make my money back. If I solo mine and if I hit a block, obviously that all changes. But if based on pools and those kind of things, I'll probably see a profit or I'll get my return on investment in about a year or two with these miners. And then when you look at my entire solar array, that's probably at least a good 10 years before I make all that money.
At least 10 years. Yeah, I think I mean I love the idea of going all solar and like not depending on the power companies, and one of the things that I don't know if this is the case everywhere, but I know it's the case in Florida, is that there's a lot of places in the States where doing what you're doing is completely illegal. You cannot set yourself up in places and be disconnected from the grid. Like that's not legal. You got to be connected to the grid, which I find to be anti-freedom. Like and it kind of hurts the soul because they will tell you it's a safety thing. At least that's what I heard. No, 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 we can't do it because of safety. You got to be connected to the grid. Uh, but again, it's a personal choice. What if I don't want it? Is there any kind of pushback where you live, or you can do whatever you want? You can be off grid 100%, nothing happens.
Where I lived previously, I would say absolutely. I would say the city would step in. I did not live in an HOA, which is an homeowners association. And if I lived in there, I could almost guarantee I could not have ground mount solar panels. But where I live is zoned ag, which is agriculture, which gives me basically the most amount of freedom to building out the farm as I see fit. And all this is for the farm. So these are farm projects that go to the farm and help the farm out. So it's all agriculture.
Gotcha, gotcha. And now, since we're talking about Bitcoin and stuff, and I'm sure you started off with Bitcoin, most people did. Uh, but how did you find Hive? How is it that you were like? I'm gonna assume. Do correct me if I'm wrong. That you were one of those Bitcoin maxis that all of a sudden said, "What is this?" And then you ended up in Hive, or am I wrong?
Well, it all started back in the Steam days where I saw their trading pair on Poloniex. And I just Googled what Steam was, and I think it took me to like steamit.com, and I saw the trending page. And I saw there was dollar values assigned to posts, which was very curious at the time. I think Steam was probably really high at that price, like $3 to $5 or something like that. And I became a dolphin, and I bought maybe like 3,000 Steam, and from there, I just kept blogging and staking and buying when I could. Eventually, we all moved over to Hive, and then I doubled my stake by taking all of my Steam I sold and moved it into Hive. And then I decided to make the cross into becoming a whale, or close to. If you ask Farsim, I'm not a whale, but based on vests, I am a whale. So I don't know what his deal is.
Yeah, yeah. So I actually remember you from the Helpy days because when I was doing the Helpy thing, you were one of the dolphins that I invited that was helping quite a bit with, you know, making us have a little bit of a stake to be able to curate all the little minnows we were trying to help, retain. So I remember you from those days. But what month did you join? Do you remember exactly when you joined? Or was it right about the same time?
I joined in 2017 using my Freedom Coin account, which is my Bitcoin Talk username. I have a Bitcoin Talk account all the way back to I think 2013 or 2014. And I used that name at the time to move over to Steam, but I didn't like the name. And I felt like people were confusing me with some kind of altcoin project. So I decided to start the new name Solominer, as I thought solo mining was really badass. And maybe one day I could live up to the name. And I'm getting close to working on that now.
I say out of the people I know, you're the closest one for sure. My brother and I have been discussing doing something like that here in the farm too, setting up a big solar array and putting our own servers and possibly mining some stuff, running some nodes. I mean, it is if you are somebody who values freedom, I think it's the only way. Really, it's
Yeah,
the only way.
exactly. It is.
Well, that's
And when
pretty
it
on.
comes to like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go no, continue your idea. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, if I was mining based on my grid power, I would barely be breaking profit. So this is absolutely something that has to run on solar. Otherwise, my return on investment would probably be many, many years, maybe 10 years or more. So based on solar, I'm looking at a return in a year or two. But if I was running this on the grid, it wouldn't even be worth it. You might as well just buy Bitcoin on an exchange and don't even mess with it.
That's right. Actually, I remember a story. I don't know if anybody here can share what they remember about this of a it was a son and a father who began as miners. And then they quickly realized, hey, there's not enough money on here. And they began trading Bitcoin, selling and buying Bitcoin. And they got so big, so popular, then the government came down on them. And they had a documentary on on t- on on television. Does anybody watch television these days? But about the whole thing, and they were saying like, because I think the dad got jail time. It's like, what are we doing wrong? This is before, like right now, you could never imagine somebody going to jail for selling or buying Bitcoin because that's all they were doing. But at some point in time, when the government really was trying to suppress this, and they thought, like, hey, no, we gotta nip this in the bud. We're losing power. People are going to jail over this stuff, and it was kind of how it happened with them. They're like, it's not worth it anymore to do it, with a miner. It's still profitable to buy and sell, and of course they had a spread. How that's how they were making their money. That said, back then when that was happening, the ability to set up a solar farm, I guess I would call it, was impossible because the cost was. It's not that it didn't exist; it was the cost was stupid. Like, I don't know when it happened, but all of a sudden solar panels started to get some cheap. And even here in South America, you can get solar panels for a decent price. The biggest challenge, at least as far as I know, is batteries. So, what are you doing with batteries? What kind of setup do you have?
I have a home built lithium ion array. That's a 48-volt setup. It probably consists of, I think, like 40 or 63-volt batteries that are all ran in different paralleled and in series in certain ways to bring it up to 48 volts. And from that, I can charge my batteries when I have excess solar power. So, like, say we're not using a lot in the house, but we have a lot of sun. All that power will go into the batteries, or as much as the batteries can consume or absorb at that time.
Yeah.
And that's basically my setup at nighttime, where I can then draw off power, like not all of it, but some of it to offset some of my nighttime energy.
That's pretty awesome. So I'm guessing your electric bill is very tiny by comparison, given the size of your state too.
We've been under $100 a month, which I've never been able to do before. So that was impressive.
Yeah, that's pretty beautiful. That's pretty beautiful. I had a small house in Margate, Florida, and I think we were paying anywhere from 180 to 240 a month in electricity back in those days. So I can't imagine how much it would be in a farm if you didn't have the solar setup. All right, but let's talk about Hive for
It's
a second.
usually
We
about
know.
300 to 400 normally. So if I can get it under 100, that's great.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Well, let's talk about Hive for a second because one of the things that you do on Hive, or that you started doing on Hive a little while ago, is that you became a witness. So tell me, how is it that you became a witness? Why did you become a witness? Why is it like, oh, now I like this Hive stuff. I've been buying a bunch of their tokens. Now I'm going to help protect the chain. How did that? How
Well,
did
I've
that?
always
Yeah.
been curious about being a witness. I have a background in information technology, supporting and working with servers. But when I first learned about witnesses back in like 2017, the kind of servers you needed to be a witness required a data center, or it would require a major investment. Either renting it would cost thousands of dollars a month, or buying it would probably be $5,000 to $10,000 a month for that kind of server, or $5,000 to $10,000 in total to buy that kind of server. But recently, I saw Gandalf's post about how he runs his on a mini PC, and that really inspired me to look into it again. And sure enough, Hive now can run the basic plugins on a very small machine, and I've been running this on a mini PC for almost a year now, and it just sits away waiting for blocks.
And I saw a comment on this topic. Check this out, Bitcoins. I don't know what you think of this. I saw Block Trade saying in a comment that he thinks optimizations are going to reach a point to where you'll be able to run a Hive Witness, or did he say witness or node? Maybe he said witness, and I've been saying node on a telephone, which would be insane. Can you imagine that?
Oh, it's totally possible. I mean, look how far we've come from laptops to phones, where we have the same amount of power on a phone that we did a laptop. So, of course, eventually we're going to be down to that size. Now, of course, if Hive keeps adding more plugins, you might have to beef up your setup a little bit, but it's all on how many plugins you run, I think.
But we think it, I mean, I don't know if you share this opinion. I hope that you do, but I think it's very important that we go in that direction because what's happening with a lot of chains is that we keep on making it to where you need more storage, bigger computers to be able to run nodes. And then what ends up happening, and maybe you could say it's intentional, but what ends up happening is you start centralizing the chain because all of a sudden, you know, you cannot run your own node at home. And the idea from the very beginning was decentralization. I know it's a spectrum, but if you cannot run your own node at home, I think that's an issue. You know, you should be able to.
Absolutely, and I think we're moving in a good direction on that. Like, look how big the first computers were. They were the size of rooms, and we moved them down to the size something you'd put next to a desktop. And now we're moving them down to the size of phones. So most definitely, and I think we'll continue to have like pruning of the blockchain, where we won't need the whole blockchain for whatever reason for the nodes to run, and they'll be able to start reducing how many gigabytes you'll need to store all that because obviously if you keep adding to the chain the number grows, so you need to find some way to prune that data eventually.
Well, that's right. That's right. My brother has been running a little node in his house for I think like a year. He's in the audience right now. That's why I'm bringing it up. And there's a I don't know if you know about the drama because he was explaining it to me. If you know about the drama, you can share with us. That'll be great. Regarding Bitcoin, because apparently they're trying to change the core of Bitcoin. They're trying to open it up so that you can write blogs. I don't is it blogs? I don't remember the exact details. So somebody correct me here. But what's going to end up happening is going to be that you're not going to be able to run your own node because all of a sudden everybody's going to run out of storage. Um, and I think that is absolutely terrible because that would 100% centralize the chain right away, which is, in my opinion, and I know I'm going to offend some people over here, but that's exactly how shitcoins do it. You know, if you have a coin that is controlled by a tiny little group, then anything could happen. Then you can have the 51% attacks that we keep on talking about and whatnot. So, yeah, so that's going on with Bitcoin right now. So I look at this. To me, this is good news. It means that in Hive we're moving in the right direction. Maybe not so much in price, at least lately, but we're moving in the right direction as in decentralizing the chain, which makes me feel that I'm in the right place. Um, well, out of the things that we were going to talk about today, so Kitty is actually making a list for me, so that's awesome. But Bitcoins, of course, he brings up the very important one. Let me, and I don't know if we can talk about this because this video is supposed to go on YouTube. So maybe if there's a word you're not supposed to say, maybe you can be creative about how you say it. But is ganja your business? Is that what you're doing? Is like you have a license? What are you doing with the ganja?
No, it's for personal consumption only, and if I like a handyman, I'll usually give him a baggie to say thanks.
Oh, there you go. All right, that makes sense. I know that you post a lot about it, and I've seen your setup and I've seen the plants. Not that I know too much, but it looks you know pretty good from what I can tell. Hey, Bitcoins, are you taking notes, dude? Are you gonna start doing this stuff yourself? I don't know if you guys know this, but Bitcoins is has been very focused lately on the hotel. He got back his hotel. He was renting it for a little while, and now he's back in the chair, and it's been taking quite a bit of his time, and that's why you guys barely see him posting these days. But he's around. He's around. And today's I think it's his first day back from his 1 month hiatus. I don't know if he's gonna open up his microphone. Bitcoins, are you here, brother, or what's going on? Decentralizing a decentralized chain.
Wow. Well, I literally this makes sense why none of my comments were getting commented back. I was on mute. I didn't even see I was on mute. I've like commented a few times. I was like, all right, I guess we're just gonna keep. All
Oh
right,
yeah.
yeah. Well, I'm now unmuted. I don't even know how I got on mute. Um, but But anyways, yeah, I am back. It has been a very busy couple months for me, transitional months, a little bit of a surprise. But yeah, it's good to be back here at Hive Thrive, and things have settled quite a bit. And yeah, the we have solar power here at the hotel as well. We did two phases of solar. Actually, we did our first phase was just about having power when power went down, and and so we would store our power, and if power went down, then we would just switch to, I'd do this like little switch. Then I realized if I had less batteries, it was quite a lot. We Our first batch, I think we got in 2016, and it was those the batteries where you have to go in and you have to like test them and fill them with a little bit of that what is that, like special kind of water that you keep having to top it up, but it's just very finicky, and it was a big pain in the ass, and if you forgot it, like you'd mess up your battery system. So in the end we switched, and we do solar, the solar that feeds the grid, and then it just takes off from our bill at the end of the month, and we have a little four battery packs, four batteries that are like gel batteries that cover the basic needs for about 12 hours. So as long as we don't have like a 2 day power outage, we'll make it. But but yeah, so I was very interested to hear all of your solar stuff, and as I actually commented a couple times, but now I realize why I wasn't being responded to because I was on mute. But I was curious if, like, so is your entire witness setup is completely on solar, like, so no matter what, your witness is never going down because you're on solar. Is that the case?
I have a UPS running for it, which has about maybe 45 minutes of effective power. If the UPS lost power, that would mean my generators went out on the property. That means my battery got too low, probably below about 51 volts, and my solar panels weren't producing. So there's about four different levels of protection before my witness would cut out. And at that plan, I hopefully I'd be able to broadcast my shutdown signal and not miss any blocks.
Which this hasn't happened yet. Like the black swan event where Solominer's witnesses down hasn't happened.
Not due to power. There was an ISP routing issue that I missed 3 blocks on, but that was not my fault. That was probably some tech behind a console somewhere messing something up on their router.
Mm. Mm. And so just diving into this witness thing a tiny bit. So how long have you been is it 2 years now that you've been a witness?
I think it's been almost a year. I think I'd have to look again, but I think it was about October of last year.
Okay, so you're just about to have your cumpleaños, your witness cumpleaños, and
Yeah,
uh,
I should check
and I
that. I should figure when it is. I don't remember, but I should. I don't want to pass up that date. That's for sure.
yeah, and so you've been kind of slowly but steadily moving through the ranks. What have you? Last I looked, you were in the 50s. Did you break through the 50s? Are you in the 40s yet?
Yeah, I think I'm around 45 right now. It's pretty amazing. I'm this far. My long term goal of like maybe 5 years was to get in the top 50. And I hit it within less than a year. So I'm completely blown out of the water how much support I've gotten for my witness, and I'm very thankful.
Well, I mean, if you've only missed 3 blocks and that wasn't your fault, I mean, that's a good sign. I've seen some top 20 witnesses miss more blocks than that. So, uh, depending on what you consider the main job of a witness, it seems like you're winning in that.
Absolutely. And I've actually had a nightmare about missing blocks, so it lives in my dreams.
And so now that you're moving through the ranks faster, do you see, have you readjusted that goal to maybe 5 years top 20?
It looks like I'm definitely slowing down at this point. I think most of the people that would have noticed that I've become a witness and that wanted to support me have taken their decision to either support me or not. So my voting power has definitely stabilized, I'd say, at this point. But I think if I can build out more infrastructure and impress people that run API nodes and other more complex systems, maybe I can gain a few votes that way. But I haven't proven myself to be anything above just a single plugin witness, barely running a price feed and signing blocks. So I don't think it's fair for me to be treated that way either. I'm totally happy at rank 45 with everything I put in so far.
And so, if we were to look ahead, like what do you have any ideas or plans for upgrades or specific solar solo miner contributions? Anything like unique that you have in your little idea hat?
My OPSEC is really important to me, which is operational security, meaning not doxing myself or exposing where I live. And if I run an API node, you can basically look up the IP address of where that node is, and you could trace it back to the ISP. And I really don't want that to happen. I could run a proxy where I could run like a virtual private server and have it go through there, but I haven't experimented with all that, and I just want to keep my OPSEC to the most finest level where I can sleep at night. And running an API server requires me to be more exposed.
Yeah, I mean, you said you were in Virginia, so I definitely like I pulled up the map and I was like, where is this guy? I'm gonna find him. I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go get his ganja.
I'll tell you guys something kind of crazy, but it's related. There's a guy, my wife showed me this, who looks at grass. They show him a picture. Okay, he just looks at the grass, and he goes like, "Yeah, that is in Ukraine around the this town with the altitude, blah blah." And he'll give you the GPS coordinates just looking at grass anywhere in the world. The dude's like a, I don't even know how you do that, but he does it. And there's videos about the guy showing you his superpower, and then just showing pictures of grass. So make sure there's
Yeah,
no grass there's no grass in your pictures. So this guy knows where you
there's
live.
some game, it's called geolocator. I can't remember what the game is, but people like challenge each other to these competitions of figuring, it'd just be like a random picture or a random thing, and then people challenge they have like races to who can find the thing, or they'll put a flag in a field, and they'll be like the first person that can find this wins a prize. I can't remember what it's called, like geolocator or something.
A
GeoGuessr.
GeoGuessr, I
Yeah,
actually got it.
yeah, Acid got it. Yeah, my wife really loves that game. She actually started doing something like that on Hive too. She hasn't done it this week, but it's a difficult game to play. Um, if you did not have reverse image lookup to it. So like if you go and you take a picture yourself, I mean maybe you can get away with it, but if you were using pictures on the internet and then you do a search with it, it becomes kind of easy. So she's been kind of trying to figure out how to not make it so simple because the first three times that she posted, within 5 minutes somebody knew the location and she was like, ah, no, 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 that's weird. And then it was sure enough, it was a reverse image lookup and defeats the purpose of the game. But I guess my point, why we're talking about this is because Solo, I think I've seen your grass, dude. So you're compromised.
You're compromised. We're coming for your grass via your grass.
Luckily, the Street View vehicle does not drive down the road I live.
Oh, there you go.
Mhm.
Now I will say this regarding running Hive nodes. Um, I think I think not all witnesses, of course, are going to do it, but I think we need to be able to get to a point where most people could run a node if they wish. And I don't know exactly if it would become a protocol thing where if you run a node, you also get some rewards. I have no idea, but I do believe that we have to move towards that direction because currently we have, I don't know how many nodes that we have. Do you guys know? Maybe 12 around there that I know
About
of?
100.
Huh?
Oh, the API node. Sorry,
API
it
nodes,
may be 10.
maybe 10. And I most definitely we need more, but it's not cheap to run, and it makes it to where only top witnesses can run one, and it's not ideal.
Absolutely. If I ran it in like a data center, I would have no exposure to possibly doxing myself, and I could do that. But like you said, the upfront cost of running such a node is extremely high. So I'm considering looking at like a reverse proxy, something where I can mask my IP address, but I can still accomplish what I need. But I'm right now. I'm happy where I'm at, so I'll consider it at some point.
Yep.
And
Bitcoin is.
at this point in in your in the witness game, like in the 40s, is it a break even scenario, or you're not really, you're really paying to keep the system safe?
Well, I run my server at home, and I've already paid back the mini PC, so I'm 100% in profit at this point.
Oh, nice.
That's pretty awesome. And when you say mini PC, do you mean like a nuke, like one of those tiny ones that are like a square?
Yep, basically one of those. It's not an Intel product. It's some Chinese version of it you can buy on Amazon. I think GM Tech or some brand like that.
This reminds me of a guy. I can't remember his YouTube account, but all that he does, and it's a fun account to follow, is he tries to run Steam, the gaming platform, not the old blockchain, on anything. And he'll grab like a pregnancy test from China, and then he'll put Steam in there, and then he'll play a video game. He'll try to play something, and so he grabs these computers, but the first versions of them, and will try to revive them. Most of the time, they're dead, and then do a gaming setup. Is it Mingus? Something I have to look it up, but it's really really fun to watch him try to do it, and it's a cool challenge, right? Because you're like, okay, with the least resources, let me try to get it to play a game. And on some stuff, of course, he only gets to play like the first version of what's the name of that, the Quake or Doom or what have you. Those like really old games, but
Mm.
other times it's been surprising what he gets to run on really old hardware. This is
Yeah,
this
that's
is it.
always the question. I've loved seeing that. I've seen like even like calculators, like those Texas Instruments running Doom.
I saw that. That's pretty crazy. This is something to really ponder about, because a lot of people think that when we sent people to space, when the US started doing that, we had this crazy computers and what have you. But right now you have something in your pocket that is magnitudes more powerful than the computer they use to send people to space, and it's in your pocket. And we call it a phone, but it's really a computer. It's really a computer that can make phone
It
calls.
is
And
amazing how small it's gotten. Yeah, the size of nanometer circuit boards getting smaller and smaller has just made many PCs like this actually viable.
yeah, I actually have one myself, one that I've been playing with for the past 8 months, 9 months, and I have Linux running on there and doing some of the stuff. And it's a cool little computer. Um, it was my brother's. I don't know how much he paid for it. I have no idea. He's in the chat. I don't know if he'll share, but I've seen him go for anywhere from like $100 to $180. So it's cheaper than a laptop. So if you have an old keyboard somewhere and an old monitor you're not using, and you want to set up a Linux computer and you want to experiment, it's not outside of the reach of most people.
Yeah, they really are simple. I think I paid close to $400 for mine. I needed a lot of RAM and a lot of SD for the blockchain, but they do start at around $1 to $200. Yes.
That's very cool. So,
So something I wanted to jump into is, and I'll kind of put it in, just this idea of where Mino, you touched into it in the very beginning, like where technical skills and just being like kind of computer minded, and then where real world sustainability collide. This place is a very interesting place. Like you said, eco's into it. And I actually have a really close friend here at the lake. And he's like really into Bitcoin. He's really into the kind of the mechanisms, and he's got this whole theory of the way the blockchain works is permaculture, and I'm curious if you're driven by any sort of ethos, uh, combining like your computer and technical skills with your eco sustainable life and the way that you're getting your hands in the dirt. You got anything to share in that direction?
Yeah, well, I've spent my professional career in information technology. I was commonly the IT guy, the guy you would call in the office when you'd have computer problems. And I've always really been interested in computers. And when I found the blockchain in like 2013, I was really fascinated. And then discovering Steam back in like 2016, 2017, I just grew my interest from there. And I was at the same time I was starting to spend more time outdoors. My good friend Ryu Lincoln, he's on Hive and he's posted a few times now. Me and him decided to start up a farm, and we moved out to Virginia. So I've been trying to merge blogging with my technology skills that I've learned working in my career, and also continuing this farm project with a good friend of mine that I spent a lot of time out in the woods with.
And so the farm is your main bread and butter. That's like what you do as a living. Like you have products that you're selling to the world, or what's going on there?
Oh, my investments are definitely keeping me afloat. Made a lot of money over the years working in IT, and I've made a lot of money off the bull markets from Bitcoin. And I've taken that money and I've moved it into Fidelity accounts and other things that produce dividends or yields. So most of my money comes from that. We are starting up a commercial garlic operation just in a few weeks at this point, where we're hoping to generate some significant revenue on the farm, and me and my foreman were splitting those profits half and half.
Oh, nice.
There's a question in the in chat that I want to make sure we address because the word was used, but maybe some people don't know. It says, "What do you mean by permaculture?" It's like a term thrown around, but it's just he just want. This is Kryptonius Rex. What is permaculture for those of us who don't know?
Permaculture is basically taking the land and making it a very sustainable effort to reuse it and bring it back to whatever kind of condition it may have had before urbanization happened to that said piece of land. So in my case, I like to add wood chips to the ground. I like to add cover crops. All those kind of things are permaculture aspects that can bring life back to the soil. You can do other things like hugel cultures by burying logs in the ground and letting them break down, making incredibly rich soil. But in general, it's basically just taking care of the land.
Yeah, there's a whole different topic of conversation that I don't know too much about, but what I have heard, and it makes a lot of sense, is that monocultures, which is basically just people planting the same thing over and over and over, um, have really destroyed soil. So there's like a these all these processes of making it fertile again the natural way, right? That people like Eco and I guess yourself are pretty much trying to do. Because the other choice would be for you to buy all these chemicals and just kind of throw it in there and try to get the whatever crops you're growing to grow that way. But there's a natural way to do it without using poisons, without using crazy chemicals. I didn't know about the logs, but that makes
Exactly.
a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you can add naturally back into the soil that will help. Limestone powder is one of them, basically ground up limestone. It can really change the soil chemistry that you have. You can add wood chips, which eventually break down into nitrogen. You can add chicken manure, cow manure. Stuff's all high in nitrogen as well. You don't have to buy the straight up chemicals. A lot of byproducts that people would otherwise throw away, like wood chips, contain these things.
Yeah. And do
And
you
so
have? I'm sorry, but go for it.
I was just gonna kind of dig into this a little bit, because kind of what I'm hearing. So for some reason, I somehow thought you were more farming, but it's what it sounds like to me is you were involved in investments in the financial world, and the farming was sort of like passion project hobby that now maybe has an avenue to also like making money as well. But it's interesting. I'm sort of I'm always interested what somebody who is like, you I think you said you went to school for not computers specifically, but technological reality.
Information technology, IT.
IT, exactly. And then I'm always interested. I find a lot of IT people like oftentimes like find themselves going back to the land. I don't know if it's something in that realm that it feels fake, so you want to get your hands in the dirt. What's the story for you? Like, where did the passion to start rejuvenating the earth and buying a farm? Did that come as a direct result of some oppositional reality to IT, or were they just kind of hand in hand?
So most of my IT career has been spent working in cities and suburbs, but I had the opportunity to work pretty far out in the country. It was about 60 miles east of Atlanta, which is an area called Commerce, Georgia. About 6,000 people live out there, pretty small in comparison to most places in the US. And while I was working IT out there, I would go hang out with the workers after work. We'd go fishing, go hiking, exploring the land. And I'm like, I really like this. Like, I feel really good being out here. As previously, I've mostly been in metropolitan areas throughout my life. So after being exposed to that and working out there for a few years, anytime I came back away from it, back into like suburban areas, I felt uncomfortable. At the time, my mom lived in the suburban area, and I was taking care of her as I'm an only child, and I'm the only person that could have cared for her. So I took care of her, but eventually she passed, and I could focus on things about me, and we decided to move and get out of the suburban area into a more rural area.
I can definitely relate to not wanting to be in the city. I every time I go to the city, I have maybe 3 days tops that I'm like, okay, cool, this is cool. Hey, I can find stuff. I can go order something and it'll get here tomorrow. And then I want out. Then like I'm done. Like I don't want to be here anymore. And I know I live in a very I don't know if rural cuts it, maybe like 300 people if you count the cows a couple times. I'm like I'm in a tiny, tiny little town. There's other tiny towns around here, but they're tiny. And we don't have malls, we don't have Amazon, we don't have none of that stuff. And so for some people, I live like a savage. It's like, what are you talking about? There's not even a full blown hospital around here. But for me, it's like when I go to the city, I'm like, yeah, I don't like this noise. I don't, I can't stand it. So it grows on you. Like I don't even care about the bugs. Like because of course you live where you. I'm sure it's the same with you. There's bugs, snakes, all that stuff. That's what happens when you live in the farm.
Absolutely, I hate ticks. I can't tell you how much I hate dealing with ticks, and they are out here, and I'm always anointing myself in herbal oils to keep them away because I hate those things. And gnats. Gnats are annoying too. They get in my eyeballs, and I hate them.
Recently I learned about a different bug. I had no idea what it was, but and I might be saying it wrong. It's an arachnid um, that when they bite you, it's really painful, and they live like a little tiny little hole. And I guess towards the mountain, they're pretty common. And a guy was telling me that in English they're called chiggers. I never heard that word before, and I looked it up, and it's like berry bug or something like that. And but it's not a tick. And so apparently we have those here, and of course we have ticks. So that's part of the charm. As a matter of fact, I pretty much these days can tell more or less the season because of the bugs that we have. There's a certain bug. I'm sure it's the same with you. Certain bug starts to be common, then oh yeah, the sun's gonna start coming out very soon, or it's about to get cold. Like we're already getting those big beetles, Hercules beetles. So that I know the weather's starting to change. For example.
Yeah, it's starting to change all over the place here here in Guatemala, here where I specifically live in Guatemala, we've been a pretty protected place. We didn't have dengue, we didn't have malaria. Um, um, we still don't have ticks, but dengue and malaria sort of creeped in. And then our most recent addition is this like flesh-eating worm, and
What
it's like
the?
getting a lot of yeah. There's it's like it's this crazy thing. Like if you have an open wound, so it's not hitting humans too bad. Yeah, screwworm. That's what it's called, and um, it's not hitting humans too bad. Most humans, you kind of spot it and you treat it. It like looks like an infection. You normally don't like get that, but it's getting a lot of animals. If they have any like open wound, the screwworm gets in there, and they let the worm just like burrows itself, or like a few worms, and they just like literally eat your flesh. It's pretty intense. Yeah, but that's in our neighborhood now as well, so all types of fun stuff out here in nature. But I'm like you, I'm with you, Mino. I kind of just I go back to the States. I sort of enjoy the niceties of the modern world for like a day or two, and then I'm just like, it's not all it's cracked up to be.
It's a different speed also that you live at. Like I'm sure it happened to you solo as well. You have a different. It's almost like when you go to the city, everybody is on fifth gear, and you're like, no, life is better if you slow down. But everybody's on fifth gear. So yeah, like I said, I don't feel comfortable pretty fast.
Yeah,
Why don't
it's one
we
of those places I visit and I try to get out of as soon as I can.
Yeah.
why don't we switch gears here a little bit? And I always feel like you've got a good eye on the markets. Let's talk markets for a split second. What are you seeing here? Are the doomsdayers correct that we already had our Bitcoin high and it's all downhill, or do you still see us having the August, September slump, and then the grow back, and we're still going to print some new highs. And that's the old, the Bitcoin market. And then maybe like give us your thoughts on like why Hive might be slumping, stagnating here. Um, yeah.
So I based on cycles, like looking back at the previous bull markets, you can count basically how many days from the halvening up until when we see price drop offs happen. And based on previous cycles, it's looking like October is when they're saying the bull market should be officially over, just based on how many days it's been since the block happening. And I kind of like that way to look at it because it's a very specific number. And if that's the case, yeah, we probably have a few more months that we could definitely see a run up in and break all time highs. As for altcoins, I don't know. Did Ethereum even hit all time highs yet? Because if Ethereum has not hit all time highs, chances are other altcoins are not going to follow either. So Hive will probably do good when Ethereum does good, and Ethereum will do good when Bitcoin does good.
I mean, didn't Ethereum just have a blow up like a week ago or 2 weeks ago or something?
Yeah,
I feel
Kind
like
it
of.
went over
Yeah,
5K recently.
nice. Well, that's a bullish sign for altcoins. I would definitely say that's a good sign because if the major number one altcoin can do it, well, then other altcoins probably can too.
It's usually like a domino effect, right? It's like first, of course,
Yeah,
first Bitcoin, then let's call them the first alts, and then it starts to trickle down.
yeah, that's how I see it. It usually starts with the block happening, and then you see a new price discovery once the miners have less Bitcoin to put on the market. At that point, there's usually a small run up. Speculation happens, such as like the ETFs now. Like we have so much inflows coming through the BlackRock and Fidelity and all these other ways that are going to definitely affect the ups and downs of Bitcoin in more extreme fashions now. I think we're probably going to see the result of that pretty soon.
Yeah, I have to say I'm of two minds with regarding this institutional money coming into crypto because I mean for one, who doesn't like their backs to be pumped? Like I get that, But another one is like I feel also that we're kind of cheering for more regulation, which of course I can't be for. There's going to be, especially because of what's happening. I think there's going to be a very soon. There's going to be registration of all the wallets, and everybody's going to be KYC'd and what have you. I think that's not years from now. I think that's probably going to happen very soon. More so because of what the Trump family is doing. Like they just launched some other stuff. Are you aware of the what they just launched, Solo? Like, did you read up on that stuff?
No, no, I'm not aware of it. But KYC has been a part of my life for a very long time. I operate a C corp, and I have business accounts with different altcoin exchanges. And if you thought KYC is bad as an individual, wait till they ask you for business records.
Imagine that. No, that's kind of scary stuff, I have to say, because then we're back to the square one. We're back to the reason why we were interested in crypto to begin with. If they can tell you no, you cannot move these funds or seize them for whatever reason, we just lost the plot.
Well,
Wait,
then
just
you can't move it to cash. You can just use it for other things, buy gift cards or other services.
Yeah.
well, I mean, this is my question to you is what are you exactly saying? You're saying that, like, okay, if you have, let's say you manage to have a non KYC Bitcoin wallet, you're saying that they're gonna like target those wallets and say if you move that without KYCing yourself, we're not going to allow you. That's what you're saying that the Trump did, or what exactly are you saying there, Mino? Be specific.
No, that hasn't happened yet. I'm not saying that has happened. I'm saying that there's a lot of things happening in this bull cycle that let's be completely honest about it. They're scams, like just a bunch of scams going on. A bunch of meme coins are scams, rug pulls, and what have you. And the although I can make an argument for the positive side of the Trump administration saying, hey, now the government is saying, oh, cryptos are cool and what have you, and now even the biggest fudders, like Morgan Chase and what have you, those are already saying, hey, Bitcoin is a thing, crypto is a thing, this is the future. But it's also because right now, to be blunt, crime is legal. Right now, you can pump and dump, and you can sell access to the presidency dinner and what have you with your meme coin. I'm not exaggerating. This stuff you can look it up. I'm not saying something even controversial. It's just a fact. You can look it up. Um, then what usually happens when the pendulum swings so much, pump and dump, it's not legal in the US, Solo, but it might as well be because when you this is kind of what's been happening lately. And so this World Liberty Financial that Ed just shared is proof of that. It's just they announce something, it pumps, and then boom, they dump all the stuff, they rug pull everybody, and the families, the elite families get richer. The people in the inside circles. This is well documented, and it's sad to see because I realize I'm not going to tell people you can't do whatever you want with your money. You can do whatever you want with your money, and if you want to play the casino, that's your choice, and I have to respect it. I don't think you're making the right choice, but it's your choice. But my point is this: I think the pendulum is swinging so far off to one side that it's going to swing back big time to the other side, and it could happen within months, or it could happen within a year. I don't know. So what does the swing to the other side mean? Well, the opposite. Every wallet has to be registered if you live in the US. All the companies that do crypto have to have KYC with all their clients. All the apps that are not KYC compliant will be taken off the app stores. I mean, is there going to be a way for you to do crypto? Of course. Technology always wins, but there are going to be 100 obstacles in the way. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I mean. My Bacanador saying, yeah, if you stay in crypto, how can the government control your funds? Yeah, technically they cannot, but we are still living in at least in the U.S. very much parallel economies. Most people are need off on ramps for crypto to be able to use it because not all places are taking crypto payments. Can this change? Yeah. Maybe the pendulum swinging all the way to the other side will make it to where more and more people will say, "Hey, listen, I don't want to deal with the dollar anymore. I'm not interested." I'm just pay me in crypto. Let's do crypto, which to me would be amazing. What do you think, Sol?
Well, I think countries like El Salvador they're trying that to do that. I recently saw a documentary where someone traveled to El Salvador to try to basically sell and buy stuff with Bitcoin, and it was a very hit or miss experience. Some people accepted crypto, some did not. So even when the law says you have to accept Bitcoin, and like for example El Salvador, it's not really being taken seriously. So I think laws and crypto they don't really go up hand in hand together sometimes.
Maybe that's for the best. But does that make sense? What I just said, Bud Quince? Do you find my point to hold any water, or not really? Am I being too doomsy?
Yeah, I mean, no, I think that there's gonna look. I mean, we live in a world where currently, it for better or for worse, middle class is being squeezed. Even governments are being squeezed. We're expecting more and needing more, and our governments are providing less, and our world is, like the times that we had in the 60s and 70s where you could just have a high school diploma and get a decent job and be able to afford everything. Those days are kind of over. You can be a philanthropist, or you can be I'm sorry, like a entrepreneur now, and there's ways to still make money. But I do think we're going through a transitional phase, and we're getting squeezed in every direction. So why would they also not squeeze crypto? It's pretty obvious that crypto is going to get squeezed as well, in my view. Whether it's squeezable or whether it's still like workaroundable, that's, I guess, becomes another story.
Yep. I mean, I think in the end, crypto is going to win. I really do. And it comes from, and I think we talked about this before, and I was having a conversation with my brother on the subject too, because my brother lived himself through one of those, one of those technologies that was trying to be choked out and then ended up winning. So when we were kids, I don't remember this. I vaguely remember, but this is a cool story, and I think this should, if you are on crypto, maybe this is going to make you feel better. When we were kids, voice over IP was declared illegal here in Ecuador. So what would happen is at the very beginning of voice over IP, this we're talking way before WhatsApp, way before even Skype. I don't remember the name of the program, but people were starting to make phone calls through the internet. And then the company that controlled the phone lines here was also a company controlled by the government. So the government of Ecuador, so basically the centralized violence, as some people would call it in our circles, said, "Hey, listen, if you use my copper line to make long distance calls, that's illegal because it's my copper line." And it's like, yeah, yeah, but I'm using the internet. I'm using my little modem and stuff. No, 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 doesn't matter. You're using it. So they had a team, which is kind of crazy, of people that would hunt down cyber cafes, that would find where you had internet, and people would go and make phone calls, and they would seize your computers. And I guess my brother was telling me that he knows of a guy. It was either his friend or somebody that worked with his friend, whose job was to hunt down these places. So imagine, like, almost as if they were making drugs in a lab, right? And they would find these setups with Linux Asterisk PBX, which is what he's talking about. And then they would seize all the computers, and apparently they had rooms full of computers that were just stolen, literally stolen from people because they didn't want uh, people making long distance phone calls without paying the phone company. And we know how that ended. Eventually we won. As a matter of fact, in Ecuador, I don't know if it's the case in other South American countries, but in Ecuador, nobody has a landline anymore. Like, we don't have one here. I don't even know why you would need one. And funny enough, nobody even makes regular phone calls. It's all through WhatsApp. So voice over IP didn't just win, and the other one doesn't even exist anymore. So I think uh something very much like that is going to happen with with our currency. It's like the next revolution. We're going through the transition. I don't know what stage we're at. It's not like I'm an expert, but they already realized, governments realized they cannot stop it. And right now they're trying to say, okay, yeah, we cannot stop it, but we want in, and they're trying to figure out how they get in. And I guess it's up to us how much in we let them be. Like, what is the amount of government involvement we are willing to 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 let them have. And I would say none. I want none of it. And it's not because I'm doing something illegal. I'm not. I'm literally buying bread. Like, and I'm not. That's not a metaphor. I'm buying bread with my crypto every day. But it's more so because I feel like it's a human right to have, for you to have an asset that you can use for whatever you want and not ask permission to use it is a human right. So I'm not gonna apologize or feel guilty about it because I want to use it. So, like, some people tell me that in Ecuador, and this is a fun fact, it's illegal, believe it or not, to do commerce with cryptos. And they tell me, hey, did you know that you can buy and sell cryptos in Ecuador, but you cannot buy a bread with crypto? And to that I say, who cares? I don't care. There's nobody. There's no victim here. So why would I feel bad because the government is wrong? that's that's kind of how I see it. And how could they stop it? Uh, are you guys talking about BitTorrent?
I know what
Yes.
you mean. I know what you mean with the telephone monopolies. I watched a series on phone phreaking. For what people don't know what phone phreaking is. Back when phone lines were analog, you could exploit them and make free phone calls by doing certain things to them. And I watched this YouTube guy where he talks about the collections or the long distance calls and how scammy they are about what it used to cost in the 70s, 80s, and 90s and into the 2000s in some other countries for long distance calls. And I'm so thankful for voice over IP because now it can just go over internet. It doesn't have to use their stupid copper lines.
Yeah. Yeah, but there
Yeah,
was a there was
we
a
always find the workarounds.
always. I mean,
You know, the humans find the workarounds. And one of my favorite quotes is never underestimate the incompetence of your government.
I like that one. It's true. I mean, we have in the U.S. we have people uh making laws for cryptocurrencies that don't understand it. They really think it's like an Excel sheet and that you can just go in there and, oh, let me give myself $100 more. And if you watch any of those hearings, I'm not saying you should, it's kind of painful to listen to. You realize, how are these people going to make laws on something they don't understand? It would be like me attempting to tell a surgeon how to operate on a heart. I don't know what I'm doing. Why would I have an opinion? How could I have an opinion? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look at the internet as a series of tubes. You can't just dump things on it. When the senators look at the internet, they have some really bad opinions.
Some hilarious ones too. It's it's painfully stupid.
It
Well,
is,
here we
and
are. We're getting close to our hour. We may have even passed it already. And so I just want to kind of circle back around to a little like kind of a closing, pull it back to Hive a little bit. And I'm curious your like your viewpoint on Hive in general. Like, what do you see as like good potential directions that Hive is headed? Like, what thrives, we could say, do you see in the future for Hive? What do you see us needing to do if we want to find this thrive? What's keeping you around and what's keeping you going here? Maybe you could kind of leave us with some of this feeling on our exodus.
yeah, definitely. So, as the rise of YouTube has been happening, I've been shocked by a lot of the censorship that has occurred on that platform and other platforms that are considered, the social media norm, which like Facebook or Twitter or whatever. And I'm always thankful that I'm on an immutable blockchain that cannot have such things done. You can be completely unpersoned on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube like you never ever existed. You're never going to see that happen in Hive. It's impossible, and it's one of those things as the divide has actually grown stronger. Like back in 2010, the censorship of YouTube and MySpace and whatever was there was not big. But fast forward to 2025, I mean, I think most people can agree there's massive censorship going on those blockchains. I'm not blockchains on those platforms and
Yeah.
those networks, and that's where I find the blockchains are so valuable, is you cannot hide, and once you put something up there, it's there forever. And I think that's beautiful.
It's like retaking our voice. And that is one of the most bullish things we can actually say about Hive, that we are we are really fighting back censorship. And then I know somebody's going to say, "Oh, but the downvotes are not censorship. The content is still there."
It
it's a
is. I
different.
mean, when downvoting is just adjusting the rewards. When you downvote, it doesn't delete anything. It's still viewable.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah, but some people go like, "Oh, no, no, that is censorship." I think that is just convenient reframing of the reality, so to play the victim.
As soon as you bring up what actual censorship is, or show them what's happened on Steam, where you can actually see people banned at the API level, they quickly have nothing to stand on.
That's right. That's right. Well, anyways, I think guys, we're reaching the end of the show. I want to thank Solominer for coming chat with us today. If you didn't know about Solominer and you have a spare vote for Solo, he's not only one of our nicer whales, he's also one of our nicer witnesses. So I think you should give him a vote and follow him also on the chain. He's always posting some really cool stuff. More so if you like permaculture. I'm gonna start using that word from now on. But do you have something to say before we say goodbye?
Yeah, well, it's good to be back. Nice to be out here chatting. Nice that everybody came in to listen. And thank you so much, Solo, for coming and give us your input and ideas. Yeah, I hope people vote for you there. I know I'm a voter, and yeah, and also just don't forget we're going to be back again next week, and we're going to be talking Hive Snaps, or as I've heard it been referred to as well, snapping, which is one of Mino's project and some of the developers, and I believe your wife is going to join us. So don't miss next week.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
Very
that.
cool.
I am gonna still try to convince my brother to speak. He just left here a second ago, but today he chatted, so this is progress. But I was like, "Nay, next week you gotta open the microphone. You gotta say stuff." So we'll see. We'll see if I can get him to talk. All right, guys. Well, that's gonna be it for today's show. If you like this stuff, of course, you guys are more than welcome to stay and hang out after the after the show. What do we call that? After party. But this is gonna be the end of the recording. This is gonna be uploaded to what is the YouTube channel that we're uploading to? But
I think it's called Deep Web 3 Secrets. And yeah, I just threw out a message to Eco. He got really busy in his life. I was just like, "Yo, we're getting kind of behind. Can we get some of these uploaded?" But he said he's gonna put a focus this week to catch up some of our past shows. But yeah, Deep Web 3 Secrets on YouTube is where we post the after shows, or where we post the shows
the shows.
after the show.
Yeah, there you go. That was a mouthful. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming, and that's gonna be it for us. Bye bye.